Hey, it's Brent from Brickstack Studio. Today we're going to look at three armor designs that I've put together over the last maybe 15 years now. You may call them power armor, you may call them just armor, mechs, hard suits. They go by a lot of different names, but we'll run through three that I've put together. Nothing fancy, just want to walk you through them. Thank you. I didn't need to thank you either. You haven't watched yet. If you stay to that, maybe you'll get a thank you then.
All right, first off is this guy. So he has a pin in each shoulder, pin in Technic pin in each hip. So that controls his arm and leg movement. There is a hinge in each elbow and in each knee. So looking at his range of motion, his arms can go up a decent amount. They don't go back far. That's more of a design choice of some of the other pieces I have in here. But he's got a little range there. You can move it around enough to throw a punch, and that's what you need in a power armor. His legs can go all the way up, so he could go into a seated position. His legs can also go virtually all the way back, and with the hinges in the knee, he's got a good range of motion there as well. We will pull off one of his arms here, and you can see it's 3 studs wide here at the by his hand, I suppose, and by his shoulder. You can see that I've recessed the hinge, and that makes it so that the hinge part that sticks out doesn't get caught on his upper torso. If you didn't have it in like that, it basically would stay sitting on his side there. Would get caught. Pull off one of his legs here, and nothing special to see here. There is a little piece of a tooth piece here. I use it as kind of a knee cover. That's where his knee bends there. You can see the hinge there. I'm only using one hinge in each one of the legs. And they didn't have as much options when I first built him to kind of finish up the back of his leg. So I do have these tiles here, but it's definitely not the prettiest. And we'll see that it does get a little better as we progress through the other ones. I'm going to pull off these other pieces so you can see the torso a little bit better. So we do have these wings, or what I look at as some other armor that goes around, kind of around the back, covers the back of his arms. And the bulk of his upper torso here, or his torso, is hollow. That is where the minifigure sits. And then down here, it's a solid piece. There is a little kind of window in there, so you can see the figure. It is really nothing more than so the person playing with it can see who's in there, use their own imagination. It's not really supposed to be realistic for the pilot. And nothing fancy about this one. As far as getting the figure out, you actually pop this piece off, and then he's just pressure fit in there. You can pull him out. Just a normal minifigure. I will pretend that back here is kind of a generator of some sort. So yeah, there you go. So next up we have the big boy here. He's definitely a lot wider with these arms or wings, whichever you prefer. He is about 2 studs taller in the legs than the other one we saw. And we just added a lot more detail to this one. I wanted to kick it up a notch and some spinning pieces on his legs. He is the same kind of visor, but it goes much farther down because that skull piece on the other one gets in the way. You can see in there too that I have another Harry Potter piece, I guess, with the Death Eater mask on there. And when you see later on, or you might be able to see him now, it's a Lion's Knight body. But this one I did go out a little bit more on how you get the minifig out. So it actually is on hinges. So you can pivot it down and get a hold of them there. Just pull them out. So we will close him back up. The back pieces here, they are on hinges. You can move them. Since they're the way they're connected and they're double hinged there, you have to be very careful with them, or they will pull right off his back. Let's get that piece back on there. They are pretty sturdy though. If you want to swoosh them around, it's not like it's gonna fall apart. But let's take a look at the arms. So not much change here. It's 3 studs across still. I do have it going to 3 studs at the bottom too, but it shifts over. So you still have the hinge that is recessed, but then it kind of pops out the other way. You don't notice it as much because you do have this barred piece on there. And then you have a wheel for his forearm there. Looking at his legs, not much different than the other one. These can spin. This one has 2 hinges in the back. It makes bending his legs a little harder when, obviously right now it's not that hard, but when it's on him, it can cause a little difficulty. A little bit smoother back here, but again, dealing with what we had at the time. So let's see. So range of motion, he still can go fully seated. Doesn't go back too far. It's mainly because of the way I had to put the hinges on there. I had to bump it out a little bit with some additional pieces. So his leg doesn't go back as far. His arm can go a decent amount. These can go up a little bit more. So it gives his arm a little bit more mobility, and then going backwards, obviously it hits that other wing or arm. But overall, very pleased with him. Oh, I should also mention, imposing him. They're not the most posable and leave on their own. Obviously, they have a decent amount of posability, but on their own, they don't stand up real well because of the pins. I did put on this one, so I'm using a bracket with the anti-studs on the bottom. So he can stand, but even when you do that, he tends to just fall over at the waist. All right, and the last one we have here, I built him about 2 years ago, trying to model his color scheme on Classic Space. There's a little bit more blue probably than it should if you're going for Classic Space, but I didn't want his armor to be overpowered by the gray. The first one I showed was virtually all black, trans purple, very dark. The second one was mainly gray with some dark blue accents to it. I didn't want to go all gray or mostly gray on this one, so I leaned heavy into the kind of classic blue color. I did put some more spiky areas on him, cheese slopes and whatnot. His range of motion, it can go up a decent amount. It cannot go back very far at all due to the wings back here. Going up, he has a problem with just this one piece in here. I like the piece, so I keep it on there. It really dovetails nicely into this slope, as you can see over here. But it does limit his range of motion. If it wasn't there, his head or his arm would be able to go totally above his head. He has a decent amount of motion at his elbows, just because his upper torso is not as bulky as the last two, and he has some more angles to it, so it does help in that regard. His legs, he can go into a fully seated position. His legs go way back. So on all three, they have pretty good leg motion. He does go back to a single hinge for his knee, like the first one, where the second one had double hinges. So it's a little easier to bend without stressing yourself out. He also goes 3 studs wide at the back, only 2 at the front, but with these other pieces added on there, obviously it's pretty bulky. And let's see, let's take one of these legs off. Not much going on here. Pretty darn smooth. I thought that it had enough angles in it that I didn't need to get too crazy on the insides of his legs. I did want him a little beefier in here, so there wasn't as big of a gap, especially when they went out so wide. But I think it turned out. Let's turn him over. You can see his wings. I love these pieces. I love that they're on ball joints, so you can move them all into different kind of positions and leave them. Also, what's nice about it is, since they're not fixed, if you were to actually knock him over, or God forbid, drop him, it's not going to just like bust the whole back off, most likely. And let's go back to the front side here. So if you've watched this far and you have any kind of suggestions for his kind of visor space here, that is the best I came up with. That's the best. It's kind of the best of the worst. I tried many different things. I like the angles here. I like these pieces here. So that really gives you four studs in a square pattern to deal with. Once you get down to that part, everything that I was putting together either looked just silly, ridiculous, looked too much like a robot. I mean, you could say it still looks like a robot, but it looked goofy. I'm not saying this is the best, but like I said, it's the best of the worst of what I came up with. This does go back to kind of the first design where to get the minifig out, you do not have a hinging system, so it little kind of goes back in time a little bit that way, but pops off fairly easy. You can see the minifigure in there. He'll just pop out, but I think with keeping the torso the way it was, 3 pieces here, it comes off really easy. Would I like it to hinge? Yes, but then it impacts the design. So it's one of those things. Form or function. What are you looking for?
Well, that's going to wrap up today. Thank you for joining me. If you've made it this far, congratulations. You're one of the few. But if you could hit that like, subscribe, and the notification bell so you never miss a riveting episode like this, I do truly appreciate it. And we will talk again soon. Thank you.